All right, welcome back to another Trade Alt Technical Analysis. I want to give you a quick video update from last week and some of the things that we were looking at that took shape. And again, Bitcoin here got the pullback back to $93,000 once we lost, we lost that lower term time frame level that I was talking about. Got our pullback, and then reclaimed 97,100, which led to a really substantial move. So this looks good. If you remember the weekly chart. I was saying again, the weekly time frame looks really good. We got our mean reversion, bounced pretty heavily off of there, and again, higher time frames look really decent, and this is no exception. Like I think this looks phenomenal. Can still, obviously spend a bit of time going sideways after a move like this. Wouldn't surprise me. We're coming into some resistance, some areas again that we haven't been trading since the beginning of the year. So I wouldn't be too surprised to spend a little bit of time here. But again, this chart looks good, looks fine. Nothing immediately wrong with it. You go into a daily time frame. There's not too much to notate. We had a nice range again, impulse, nice range. Friend's your friend. Remember me saying that. And another impulsive move. Wouldn't surprise me again to spend a little bit of time. Just technically today's candle is Friday's candle, so maybe we spend Friday, the weekend, kind of chopping around a bit, and kind of see what happens on Monday, Tuesday, something like that. I could see that happening. And I'll give you some levels here, some short-term levels to be aware of for the next, I would say, couple days of trading. The only thing that's kind of missing here still, which isn't, it's not a big deal, but the cloud isn't bullish yet. Actually, it's very close. You can see how thin it is right here. We don't have that bullish Kumo twist quite yet, but basically a formality at this point. Nice, yeah, very nice impulsive candle. Huge move on the daily, which by the way, you can't see it now because I'm doing this video 30 minutes after the daily close, but man, like a lot of these alts were up absolutely huge, which I will give updates on those because a lot of those trades triggered, since the time that, or since the last update that I did, and all those edge-to-edge traders we'll go over in a bit. But lower time frames, I like to use pivots when I'm doing a lot of scalping, intraday, that type of stuff. And I feel like this pivot lines up really well. So the daily pivot is around 101,439. You see right there. I think somewhere around there, I wouldn't be too surprised if we got a bit of a pullback into that level today. And maybe try again for another bounce, something like that. I would really, again, 101,400, something like that, I think is a fair level to be aware of. Below that, so the previous day point of control off memory, I think it was around 99,500, something like that. So if we lose the pivot, there is, again, the previous day, so this big giant green candle you see here, the point of control of that was around 99,500. Which kind of like coincides roughly with this prior high. So again, this kind of you see these happen from time to time, right? You get the move up, and then you kind of get like a back test of this, level like this, and then nice bounce or maybe even new highs type of thing. So as long as we're above, I would say 99,500. It's nothing to worry about really. Like I think it's any kind of a pullback you get healthy, especially after a massive, green candle like this that closed the way that it did. A bit of a pullback, bit of a back test of some lower levels, kind of expected. Not the end of the world if it happens. I would be a little careful though. I would say if we spend too much time below 99,500, something like that. Like this is kind of the level that I would have on my radar for today. The S1 is around 98.7. I would be shocked if we kind of saw something that deep today. Could it happen? Of course it could happen. Anything could happen. But for me, like again, the key level I would watch to the downside is probably 99,500. I think as long as you're above that, any sort of a pullback, probably a decent opportunity. Again, not financial advice or anything like that, but I would be looking, pullbacks are probably decent opportunities in that, to at least establish some kind of a range low or something. If we are going to be remain, if we're going to be range bound over the weekend, something like that, or who knows, maybe it's kind of the same thing here, right? We had an impulse. I think we had like a week and a half of sideways, another impulse. We had another, what's this, like week and a half, something like that. Again, we spent some time consolidating before we got another impulse. So that's kind of, it's kind of like how this works. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised to spend some time. Do we have to spend 10 days going sideways? No, but if we spent the weekend consolidating, it's not far-fetched, right? Like to kind of chop around for a little bit, catch our breath, um, and kind of go from there. So again, to the downside, I think it's pretty clear to me, like where I would be looking again, this 101 400, 101 500 level, something like that, which is your daily pivot. Wouldn't be, again, a test in here, totally okay. And, maybe even like a scalp opportunity on lower time frames. You lose this level, start to trade below it too much, then yeah, I would be looking back around 9,500, something like that, which would be a nice pullback. It would be a pretty kind of a deep back test on this, from this candle. But I think, again, if it happens, I think you probably get a bounce off of that. At least first test, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a bounce off of that. But really nice move, nice trending move, nice clean breakout from this range. Looks pretty good to me. To the top side, your R1 I think is lining up pretty nicely. It's basically just shy of 106,000, which again for today, Friday, right? Friday's candle, I would be pretty surprised if we moved above that. Or, again, if we tested 106, wouldn't it be shocking to kind of like come up into it, get a little bit of a pullback and reassess. So like, I would say, that's kind of like the two regions that I would be watching. And, there is kind of this SR zone that I would draw here. Something like this that you've seen on my charts a lot before. I would say that this is like the big bad red zone of death, right? And do I expect this to be absolutely massive resistance going forward? Possibly. But it's really, for me, getting especially a daily, getting a close above this red box. Obviously, that's going to be a new all-time high, so that's not anything like crazy. Oh my goodness, yeah, like you know what I'm saying. It's not saying much, but I would just be careful. Like if you look in this region, we have came up and tested it several times, right? You can count 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 tests into this region, and they've all been rejected pretty nastily. To be fair, failed to get to gain any acceptance in this region, and we've had a significant pullback. I just think that the odds of testing into this region at least one more time and probably getting a bit of a pullback, wouldn't be too surprising to me again. So kind of like where this R1 pivot is, I would be very careful in this region if we approach it anytime soon. But again, getting above, like this looks really healthy. This looks really good. It honestly looks really strong. Higher time frame, especially the weekly, looks great. Do I think that we work our way up and probably make a new all-time high? It sure seems that way. I just would be careful about this region, and kind of like the point is, for those of you who are late to the game, if you're not in a position yet, like the red box is not where I would probably want to get into a new position, is my point. Like, at that point, I would say this red box, what it establishes is like a very dangerous time to be long. I would say they're like to get into a new long. I should say, you get above it, you don't swing fail this high, you get clear acceptance above, you get a daily close above, something like that. That would look really good. And you say, okay, like what was formerly, again, what was a very tough resistance zones, now we're at new all-time high. Now we're showing strength above this region. Okay, like the odds of continuation at that point probably pretty good, right? And you have a nice region to base risk off at that point. So it's like, again, point is, when you get into if we get into the red box, it's not like, look, are there trades to be had on lower time frames? Of course there are. Could you scalp in that region? Sure. But like, would you want to establish new swing longs, kind of like up in this box? I would argue that's probably not the smartest thing I've ever heard. Could it work out? Of course it could work out. But anyway, hopefully you get my point. I'm just trying to paint a picture for you of a region where it's like you're very late at that point. And, again, unless we come up into it, get a nice pullback, then, establish a new base type of thing could be a really nice, overall push through this box and then new all-time high, something like that. I can see that. Anyway, that's kind of jumping ahead. Purpose of the video, just wanted to show that, we were looking at things pretty well here. And, once the level got reclaimed, nice, significant follow through after being range bound for a little bit. Again, pullback here, wouldn't be shocked. A little bit of a pullback, 1015. If you lose that, this purple line here would be probably a nice area to watch for. Again, maybe that, today, tomorrow, something like that. I don't feel confident that we're going to come this deep to the purple line, but 1015 I think is a nice area to look immediately, like as far as a potential area to, for a pullback. So anyway, it's enough about Bitcoin. Let's look at some of the edge-to-edge trades. If you remember me going over these, I want to go over a few charts with you. And like here, so this is a confirmed entry. Finally, right? You look, you came all the way up to cloud, and it was incredibly beautiful, amazing resistance the entire way. Now, yesterday's candle, strong move through it. You got your close, you got your trade. You're looking for probably around 29.50, something like that. Edge of, basically like this flat edge of the cloud here. I think is especially, obviously, like if Bitcoin's holding, not getting absolutely murdered, as long as it's even holding, I would say in this region, I think all probably continue to have a nice relief rally, right? Like we've seen yesterday. Again, I kind of wish I did this video before daily close, but man, like ETH was up 20%. A lot of alts were up, 15, 20%, something like that. And you can kind of see like this very strong daily candle here on AVAX. The point is, AVAX broke into cloud, got a solid close inside. Again, could you get some kind of a pullback? Sure. 21 bucks, something like that. That's could be a pretty nice opportunity. But now again, edge to edge activated, probably looking like where I would be targeting on this trade setup, be looking around 29, 50, 30 bucks, something like that. Just shy of 30 bucks. I think is a that would be a pretty nice move. Get above that. We'll talk if and when it gets there, but that looks, again, this looks much better than it did here, right? Which, by the way, again, solid resistance, like crazy perfect resistance. Come back, where it bounced from, your Kijun. Just beautiful mean reversion, and then like slingshots it up, right? Close the side of cloud, edge to edge activated, looking for 30 bucks, something like that. Very good. Let's see another one that we were looking at, Sol. So we can look at Sol's this. So you actually got your edge to edge here. You see, it activated right here on Monday. You got your close inside at here, 146 bucks. Really nice move so far. And you're looking at, it's the same target that I talked about the last couple of videos, but you're looking about 195. So I feel pretty good about Sol to about 195. After that, no idea. Like honestly, I have no idea. But I mean, again, if Sol rips up to 195, I think people are going to be complaining, be pretty happy about that. After that, it's it's kind of hard to say. Like, do you just break through it and then flip it into support, kind of like Bitcoin did, or do you come up and then pull back, and then there things get a little muddier, right? Then you'd be looking for where your TK lines are, maybe a potential mean reversion, something like that. Chop around in cloud for a while, unless it's ready to go then and there. Who knows? But anyway, Sol looks good to 195, I would say. Basically at the midpoint in cloud at the moment. So is it the best time to get in? Probably not. But I think momentum and trend is certainly on the bull side. You finally, again, you got your edge to edge trade here. You're up, what? You're up 12% at peak. Still up double-digit percent right now. Yeah, I don't know. I think Sol looks pretty good though. Again, 195. After that, I don't know. Who knows? You get above it, then things would start to look a lot better for a much larger move to the upside. But 195 is kind of where I would be looking. Whiff really good. So you got your entry, got your pullback into here, which again is like, if you remember, one of the edge to edge discussions that I had was laddering into your trade. This would have been a good one to have done that. But again, whiff looks good. Like, you're going to see a lot of alts that have really similar setups. You got your pullback into support. Now you're getting a really nice move to the upside. Could you be forming some kind of range here? Maybe, So that's kind of what I would say. Although with the way that things moved the last day or so, I would err on the, that this is kind of more likely to be a trending type of move. Definitely more bullish than not, in my opinion, but you are kind of at this high, right? So it would be a little cautious. The high I'm talking about is here. So be a little bit cautious, maybe here you might have, some kind of like range that gets built up before a bigger move. I would err on the side of this is kind of, again, like if crypto continues to be strong, I would err that this is probably like probably the beginning of a more trending move. So I'm not necessarily looking for this to go sideways, but again, right here where you're at right now, you're at resistance. I'd want to see a clean break above this purple line to look for continuation higher. So on WIF, above $1, which is cool. I am long WIF and I've been long WIF. But be looking around $1.25, something like that. And again, if it hits $1.25, that's kind of like I would say like the top side level that I would be comfortable with wanting to be long. After that, again, you'd have to see what happens when it comes into that. Could it have like a much bigger breakout? Sure, it certainly could. One thing that I do like about this is it's been beaten down for so long, right? I mean, like, look at it. It's literally straight down. WIF had an absolutely, which that's not even the high. I mean, you get the point of it. Like, it's down, well over 90%. So 94% pullback, something like that. So I do like kind of like a greater mean reversion at some point. But again, edge to edge is edge to edge. You look for what kind of like, what the magnet area is of the cloud. And for me, it'd be about $1.25. So whatever happens after that, I don't know. But this is kind of where I would be looking towards, as far as a target. Let's look at something else. Algo. Algo, another one that it's kind of like you see, it's like similar, right? You rode the edge of the cloud, pulled back, it literally comes down to your Kijun, rode the Kijun down actually, and then you're getting your move up. I mean, this, obviously like some of these charts maybe look a little bit weaker than some others, but an edge to edge is an edge to edge. For me, it's probably this low that I wouldn't want it to see, right? So it wouldn't necessarily be below cloud. It would literally be below the low from 3 days ago, right? So this, if I'm basing, if I'm looking for a stop loss, it would probably be below that low is my guess. But you did get an edge to edge on algo that confirmed 45 minutes ago or whatever. Target for that, again, you'd be looking around 32 cents. That's a pretty nice move from here. So, algo could see a 40% move to the upside, something like that. Again, if it hits that target, that's, that's kind of like, you have to revisit when it gets there, then, I would go more towards, so, that's like an edge, that is purely an edge to edge target. If we got up here, then I would be looking at, horizontal support resistance. I'd be looking at volume. I tell you right now, I'd be looking back in this region, where's the point of control, et cetera, like that, like to be looking for, other levels. But as far as Ichimoku goes, which I've been talking about a lot over the past couple videos, easy target here, 32 cents. And by easy, I mean easy to define. I'm not saying it's easy for algo to get to 32 cents, although I think it certainly could. But again, like it's a very easy target to see. So that's algo. I'm trying to think. Dot, somebody brought up Dot. I gave this. Now I don't remember if this was before or after I cut the video. Because it's the VIP stream that I shared with everybody that I made public last week. I don't remember if Dot was there or not. But this to me looks kind of similar. Just reminds me of Link before Link had that mass, made its all-time low, or not all-time low, but Link made its low and then, had a gigantic, massive, run up. Like this is kind of a similar setup, I think. And so if you're bullish on Dot, I think you have like a decent case. This one looks a little different than others. But again, you have a range, you have like what could be a deviation below your range, acceptance below range, and now you're getting your trend reversal, right? This is like your actual trend reversal. So it's been bearish, it's been below cloud, it's been below Kijun, since the beginning of the year. It's been down only. Nice range, nice bottom that's forming here. And now you're in cloud, bullish TK cross confirmed. You got your edge to edge, be looking for, you know, about 560, something like that. But you also have like this deviation, acceptance back inside a range. And then, you know, like it's like it's a really good, like this pattern to me is, it just reminds me of Link and something, you know, I remember going over something similar in VIP, you know, right when Link was literally having this type of a move, and it was, you know, we were following that very, very closely, and that was a huge one. Like this is a nice, again, this has a similar vibe, I guess. So for DOT, this looks pretty good. Again, right, you know, for stop loss, as long as you're above your, what I would class as like your range low here, fine. You know, if you do get a bit of a pullback back to like, you know, 420 or something like that, again, that could be a nice opportunity to get in. As long as you're above 380, I would say, you know, nothing wrong with DOT at this point. It looked a lot weaker the last time, you know, in relation to like a lot of the other alts that we were looking at. But this definitely, you know, again, like there's a few different, I would say a few different things going for it. So, for me, 2 targets to the upside, you have the kind of like this range high again, right? That I would be a bit careful of. And then top of the cloud, which literally your edge to edge target looking around 563s, 564, something like that. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think which ones that we went over, just so you can see the difference between today and between, again, the streams when we were identifying these setups and getting ready for them. Trying to remember which other ones that we went over. This is another one that just confirmed Arweave. Be looking for 12 bucks, something like that. This is like another nice, you see a lot of them have similar setups where you get your pullback into support, you have your you know, your daily close inside a cloud, bullish TK cross, you can span above price, and again, you'll be looking for 12 bucks. That's good. A lot of alts look similar. You don't get that by now. So yeah, I'm trying to think what other ones could we look at. That's probably it. ETH. So ETH, I will end on ETH, I think. You got your closure inside a cloud. Now ETH was really lagging everything else, and I honestly thought ETH was going to take a little bit longer to kind of catch up. But man, we had like a 20% candle yesterday. Massive catch up move. Got your close inside a cloud. I think cloud actually still gets this pretty well. I was looking at ETH on my other template or my other chart, and I was looking at 2600 as like a, you know, initial area where I would be careful at, and you know, the edge of the Kumo here is 2560, so I think that's pretty good. But yeah, ETH, nice catch up move, really strong, and it's inside a cloud now, which is good. So you know, it can certainly chop around cloud. But for a top side target, initially, I'd be looking around 2,500, something like that. So anyway, hope this update helps. I'd like to think that we mapped all this out pretty well from the past couple of updates that I've done. You know, public updates that I've done. I am contemplating doing a stream tomorrow, actually, and I might even, you know, if there's interest, I might even do it on YouTube, like because typically, you know, I do them in Discord with the VIP group. We just, you know, kind of screen share and get into it from that. But if there's any interest, I could do a stream publicly tomorrow. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you would want to see, something you want to participate in. I think this was probably a long enough update for now, but I just wanted to, again, to show that, you know, when you're kind of it's like using Ichimoku, first of all, to identify trend shifts. I think it's really strong, and I think we, you know, again, I think we mapped this out pretty good, right? Like it's nice to see some of this stuff taking shape. Now the next step is, you know, obviously, like, is there enough strength here to follow through, right? And that's a lot of the alts that are giving you the setup. Does it have enough strength right now to kind of continue following through, or do you get a bit of a pullback? And again, pullbacks at this stage right now, they're probably pretty good opportunities, like your first set of pullbacks if you get them. But yeah, it's like now we gotta watch and see, you know, do we get those edge to edges that we're looking for. So anyway, hope everybody's doing well. We'll probably see you tomorrow for some kind of update. If not, maybe again, if you're interested, let me know in the comments. Maybe we'll do an actual YouTube live stream, and we'll go from there. But anyway, trade safe. Hope you guys have a good one.